Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. So, yeah, this one, man, they've been a bit delayed lately, I know. I do want to try and get the next one done. I have to start grading those albums and also finish listening to them because I've got two more. So, yeah. Well, it's stuff from this past Friday that I'm going to do for the next episode, but for this episode it's the Friday before, mostly. So, yeah, just gonna get on with it because I've wasted a lot of time already. So let's go. We have a total of 5 albums, and we're starting with Ascent Like Wolves with their album Mystic Horrors. Ascent Like Wolves have been around for long enough to put out 3 albums. This is their third, believe it or not. And it's not a good way for me to get into their music. This one gets a D+. Very generic cookie-cutter metalcore, and the best songs on the album are the songs that feature guest appearances by some relatively good names in the metalcore scene, but it just proves that Ascent Like Wolves just like that they need something to be able to do it better on their own. Like, the lyrics are just sort of a non-factor. Well, I mean, there's lyrics in the album, obviously, but they just don't feel like anything I haven't heard before. In fact, I could say that for the majority of this album, and the production tries way too hard to cover that up. You're not missing a lot if you miss this album, and I really hope that their previous albums were a lot better than this, because this is not a good way for me. This is not a good introduction, basically, from them. So, yeah, I don't know if I will go back over their old stuff, but just massive disappointment, this one. So I think I'm going to move on now. Next is Days of June, D-A-Z-E, of June. This is smart. With their new album, Tainted Blood. I think this is their second album. I believe these guys are from Norway, and if I've learned anything about Norway is that they do really good metal. And this album, good example of that. It gets a B-. Really solid, just really enjoyable black metal. I cracked my finger there, cracked my knuckle. Really enjoyable black metal styling from these guys. Goes super hard when it really, really wants to. That's kind of the saving grace about it, and the performances are really good. The production and the structure are a bit buggy at times. Like, they do feel like they sort of drag on a bit longer than they need to. But all in all, it's still a really enjoyable album, and especially considering how much black metal I heard last year that was just a lot of the same. This one mixes that up quite well, so it's got a lot going for it, and I would like to see what they've got next, because this was a really, really good... I think this was a good introduction for me to get into them, so I'm really happy about that. Next is Spoilers, the only A-graded album, the only A-related graded album of this video, The Hold Steady with Open Door Policy. Now, if you know anything about The Hold Steady, they've been around for a long time. Really good mixture of alternative, indie, heartland rock. A really good way of telling stories about human life and how humans interact with others, and how a lot of human beings are really terrible people. Yeah, that's sort of basically the thing that The Hold Steady have always been about. This is still a concept album, but sort of a bit looser, because a lot of their previous stuff had like a lot of returning characters. This one feels very, very different. I'm giving it an A, by the way. I should specify. Really loved it. Loved reading through the lyrics and like being touched by a lot of the stories, because I feel like these are people I could have met, maybe, or people I could have known, probably, I don't know. Really good musical work. You know, it's kept mostly simple, but it is mixed up nicely enough. The production's really, really good. It doesn't drag on too long. Just a really good collection of songs. It's really, really fun. A good collection of little stories, really well handled and really well put together. And Craig Finn, with his usual drawling, amazing vocal delivery, gets it done. So, yeah, really enjoyable, solid, awesome. More than I can say for this next album, though. Icon for Hire with Amorphous. Now, Icon for Hire, I know, they have a bit of buzz behind them. This album gets a D, though. I was struggling to find something I liked about it. Just nothing clicked for me about this one. It was just dull and boring and dragged on way too much. Waste My Hate was a really good song, though, I will admit, but there's just so much of it that doesn't fit. The production is wishy-washy, the structure is all over the place, the lyrics are just the same stuff. Believe in yourself and all that, like, give me something more than that, you know? I just wasn't feeling this one. And they have no excuse either, because this was released on their own label, presumably produced by them. So that means that the 2 members of Icon Fire, because there's only 2 now, they're the ones who fucked this one up. So I can't blame a record label, except for theirs, because it was independently released, so yeah. Tried to swerve around this one, because I'd heard good things about Icon Fire. This was not one of the good things I heard, and I probably should have known that going in. We are ending on a relatively positive note and a slight cheat. We have Knocked Down with Anything But Luck. Now, technically, this album came out in 2019, and it was self-released. However, it was recently re-released this past Friday on an actual label, the name of which is very complicated. It's got a lot of numbers on it, so I'm not even going to bother trying to name it. I'll just call them DK2, because I remember that being the last part of the label's name, so let's just call it DK2 Records, even though I know that's wrong. Really solid punk rock, emo sort of style, and I got a lot of good punk rock emo last year. This was also really solid. I'll give it a B. There are moments where it drags a bit too long and feels a bit too generic, but this is a genre where generic is the best thing about it, usually as a rule. It's not the most innovative thing, especially considering compared to a lot of the pop punk I had last year. Staring at you, Brave Faces Everyone, you beauty of an album. But I still really like this one, and for a new project like this, I do want to see what they put out next, so yeah, I'm really excited to hear what they drop next time. Hopefully it's before this year ends, because I don't know if they've worked on anything since this album initially came out technically in 2019. They might have put out an EP, I don't really know. All I know is this album's really good, so maybe give it a spin. And that does it for this episode of Music of the Week. It was a mixed bag. Mostly a positive bag, though. You know, Hold Steady dropped a really good album. Days of June's album was surprisingly good. And Knocked Down, they're a promising young talent. So, give those a go, I guess. Avoid Icon Fire and Ascent Like Wolves if you can help it. So, that's all I can say. I don't like being this mean, but when albums are bad... when they're bad, in my opinion, I do have to get that point across, so... yeah, I know, I'm a dick. I fully admit to being a dick. That's really all I have, though. The next thing you'll see me for will be tomorrow. I'll be doing another PBW vs ABW stream. I won't be doing a video tomorrow, because I want to, put more space between videos, because I only did the FOTN review yesterday, so I want to give more time to breathe on my YouTube channel, as it were. So you can expect my game review on Wednesday, or Thursday, one of the 2 days. I want to get it done before this weekend comes around. However, obviously, in that time as well, I'm going to be working on the System of Down episode, which I have to really get a start on. And as always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye-bye.